Hey everyone, welcome back to the Sunday stream. Today is January the 3rd, 2021. Before we start off, I'd just like to thank everybody for their continued support and wish everyone a happy new year. With that being said, I'm going to be diving in today and looking at the ES chart, which is SPX futures, along with some key levels that to note for going into next week on SPX, along with some watch list names such as Apple, Tesla, Netflix, Zoom, Roku, Baba, PTON, and so forth. Over here, as you can see, I have the ES chart pulled up, which is futures, and we are pretty much even from where we left off last week, which was Thursday. I'm going to head over and switch over to SPX to draw out some levels that I'm looking for. As you can see, I drew some levels last week and we have exceeded those. We hit a high of 37.60, which is resistance at the current moment. So I will be drawing a level of resistance at 37.60. Going forward, I have resistance at 37.80 and 3,800 psychological. Stocks tend to move around numbers, so those are my key areas that I'm going to look for next week. However, 37.60 would be the first hurdle. This is on the 5-minute chart, so I'm going to switch over to the 4-hour chart for more data. Okay, so going into Monday, I am looking at levels above 37.60 for a continued move higher. We do have short-term support at 37.50, which is where we are right now on futures. To the bottom, we have 37.30 to a level of 37.25. Beneath that, I'm looking at 37.11, which was overhead resistance here back on the 23rd of January. Sorry, the 23rd of December. Also, we had a wick here, which we couldn't break, and that was resistance back on December the 18th. So I am looking at 37.11, 37.12 as short-term support. A break of that, I am looking at 37 psychological, along with 36.86 if things were to get ugly. To the above, 37.60 would be my first confirmation for an entry. The next resistance points I have set out here is 37.80 and 3,800 even. Okay, so that is SPX on the 4-hour time frame. Heading over to our watch list, we're going to be starting off with Apple. But guys, before we move on to the watch list, please head over to wealthymentor.net. If you haven't done so already, we do offer a great Discord channel where we give you entries and exits and take profit zones on current stocks. We also fill you in a market analysis every single day, along with key levels for day trading and options trading. We also provide market analysis along with economic data, and we also have Benzinga Squawk to fill you in on upcoming events and breaking news. So head over to wealthymentor.net and check us out. Also, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and give it a like for continued support. I appreciate it. Okay, so heading over to the watch list, the first name is Apple, ticker name AAPL. Okay, so Apple has been pretty bullish heading over to the new year, and this is on the 4-hour time frame. Heading into Monday, I'm looking at that 133.50 mark. We did close Thursday's session last week at 132.5. So the first hurdle or the first level that I'm looking at for confirmation to break is the 133.50 mark. A safer entry would be the 135 mark for a potential scalp at all-time highs, which is the 138 to 140, which is a level of resistance that I'm going to draw up right now. Okay. If you are a more conservative trader, I will definitely look at the 140 mark to break for an entry position. Overhead resistance is 140, so I will have a mark here at 140. Another level I'm looking at is 145 as the next level of resistance, and 150 the next level of resistance to the upside. To the downside, we do have support at the 129 mark. You can also draw a level of support at 130. So you could say to yourself, if we do push down lower and do break 130.5, that would be your first confirmation. Your second confirmation would be the 129 mark. And your third confirmation would be the 127.50 mark. If you are shorting, I would recommend you short at the 127.50 mark for a potential take profit at 124.5 and 123. The reason I say this is because the market is currently bullish right now. And as you know, Apple tends to run with SPX. So unless you see continued weakness in SPX, I would not be entering any short positions on Apple. The chart is very bullish. As you can see on the 4-hour time frame, we are making higher highs here, 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 here. Heading into next week, I'm looking for a similar pattern heading above the 140 mark. Okay, so that is Apple on the 4-hour time frame. Another name that I love to play is Tesla. Tesla is extremely bullish. We closed Thursday session even higher, above the $700 mark, which I pointed out on last week's stream. So we do have overhead resistance at the 720 mark. We're at a high at 718. We did close Thursday session on some weakness heading into the new year. However, we are still above $700 and the trend is still up. So I am bullish on Tesla. Heading into Monday, I will be looking at the 710 mark to break. We did close at 704, so 710 would be a level of interest for me. Potential scalp take profit area would be the 720 mark. Overhead resistance and take profit zones would be the 730, 740, and I will also have 750 here as potential take profit areas or levels of resistance going into next week. Areas where I'm looking for support, 700, the big psychological 700. I'm going to be looking at that. Another level that interests me is the 690 area. We did wick down and push back up, right? So buyers stepped in around the 690. We also were above it here back on the 31st, and we had a hard time breaking it temporarily on the 30th. So 690 is a key level for me. If 690 were to break, I am looking down for a short entry at the 690 level down to 680, 682 area. Beneath that, I am definitely looking at the 665, which definitely held here as resistance back on the 29th, over here as well on the 24th. And we also had price action back here on the 21st of December. So 690 break, potential take profit at 682, or you can double down your position if you are trading contracts. I would increase my contract position to 2 or 3 or whatever you normally would trade. Tesla provides great volatility, so you don't need many contracts to make great money on Tesla. So up below 682, I would definitely look for an increase in position for a final take profit at 664. Okay, so that is Tesla on the 4-hour time frame, and I am pretty bullish on Tesla going into the new year. Okay, next name I'm going to be looking at on the watch list is Netflix. Netflix was bullish on Thursday, which was the last day of the trading day before the new year. We did push higher on Netflix, closing just a tad below the 540 mark. We do have overhead resistance above 542, 543. It has held for resistance for quite a while. So I'm going to switch over here to the daily chart and show you areas where I'm looking at heading into next week. So my first level that I'm looking at for it to break is the 542 mark, 543 mark, for a potential push to the 552, 556 area. If you are a more conservative trader, I will definitely hold off entering Netflix. An area that I'm definitely looking at is the 555, 556 mark for a potential scalp trade to 565. That is Netflix on the higher time frame on the daily for potential entries. I'm going to head over to the 4-hour chart for potential shorting opportunities. So we do have short-term support here at 536. It was resistance here back on the 18th, as well as the 29th of December. So I am looking for some sort of hold around that 536 mark. If not, we definitely are going to be pushing lower at that 522 mark. We did have a bit of a hard time here as we wicked up and got pushed back down. So it did hold for resistance. So old resistance is now support. So I'm looking at that 522 mark to hold. If not, definitely that 512, 500 mark is a level of interest for me on Netflix. Netflix is one of those names, that does push higher when other names are having trouble. It is one of those stay-at-home stocks that has exceeded and pushed further during the pandemic. So if the markets are not pushing higher that day, look for stay-at-home stocks such as Netflix, PTON, for those type of and Roku streaming stocks to push forward. There is a correlation to those. So that is Netflix on the 4-hour time frame and my overlook going into next week. Another name that is of interest for me is Zoom. Zoom has had a great 2020 due to the pandemic. Like I said, it is one of those stay-at-home stocks. However, due to the conditions right now and the new vaccine coming out, it is a stock that definitely saw a lot of profit taking at the end of the month. So we are at a level of weakness and the trend is currently low. As you can see here, I will switch over to the daily chart to give you a broader outlook. We had a big top here, just under $600, the 588 mark, and we have been pushing lower ever since October. Some key levels that I'm looking at heading into Monday, I can draw here is the 325 mark, which fills the gap. Stocks do tend to come down and fill that gap. And it looks like the way we closed on Thursday last week, it has the potential to touch that. So 325 is a level of interest for me. A lot of times that when we do go fill the gap, we do bounce up from there and push forward. So heading into Monday, key levels that I'm looking at onto the upside would be my first confirmation to see is if we do fill that gap. If we do not go as low as that, I'm looking at the 342 mark to break for a potential push up to the 365, 366 area. And another area of level of resistance is the 374 mark. So those are plays to the upside. Key levels, 342, 365, 374 are plays all to the upside. 374 should hold for good resistance. As you can see here, we had it for support. Now it is resistance. So if we do break above that, it is significant for me for a potential trend change, not a complete trend change. However, it is a step in the right direction if we are looking to the upside on Zoom. Now to the downside, if we do go down and fill that gap at 325 and break below that, I am looking at levels of 305, right? So below 325, if we do see weakness, my level of profit taking would be at the 305 mark, and I will be entering shorts at 305. Guys, don't forget, again, to head over to the website. If you do want to join our Discord channel, we do have monthly, 6-month, and yearly memberships where I do outline these plays every single day and provide analyst upgrades and keep you in the loop with every single stock on the watch lists. We also do have low cap names, and we do have airline stock watch lists along with MJ names as well. Just want to point that out there. Okay, so that is Zoom on the daily chart and the 4-hour chart heading into next week. Another name that I'm going to be looking at heading into next week is PTON, another stay-at-home stock. ticker name PTON. Okay, here we are, PTON on the 4-hour mark. PTON has been incredibly bullish. They did have news of buying out another exercise company, Precor, I believe it's called. So on that news, it did push higher all the way to 171, which was all-time highs. We did see some weakness after that news, so it was definitely a lot of profit taking, buy the rumor, sell the news type deal. And that was definitely evident last week heading into the new year. Heading into Monday, I'm looking at the $54, 154 to break. If you are a more conservative trader, I'll definitely look at the 158 mark to break. And if you just want to kind of ride it out, I would definitely look at the 160 mark to break. We did hold here for support back on the 24th and the 28th of December. So this will be a hard level to break initially. So look for that if you are more of a conservative trader looking for an entry, or if you're a swing trader. If you are a day trader, I'm definitely looking at that 154 mark for a potential scalp to the 158 mark. We are not too far from all-time highs, so which is at 170. Above 170, I'm looking at take profit areas of 175 and 180. Now to the downside, we do have short-term support at the 150 mark. We did have a bounce here at the 146 mark. So my first initial would be the 150 mark. If that were to break, I'm looking at my second confirmation at the 146 mark for a potential push down to the 142, 140 mark. Now we do also have levels at 138 and 136 if we do see continued weakness heading into Monday and going into next week. Okay, so that is PTON on the 4-hour time frame. I am currently bullish on PTON, so I'll be definitely keeping an eye out on that one. Another name that has made some headlines recently is BABA. Some Chinese stocks have been delisted or in talks of being delisted. BABA has caught wind of that and has definitely hurt the stock. It did push as low as 212 back on the 24th of December. And we did have a nice bounce from the 212 mark all the way to the 242 mark. However, Thursday, Wednesday's action of last week, we did push right back down. And currently we are at support, which is at 232. Below that, if we do open up on weakness heading into Monday, I am looking at that same 212 mark to break. If we cannot break that, I will be looking at levels of 200 as the next level of interest. So if 212 does break, 200 would be an area to short, right? 212, enter a short position down to the 200 area. I would increase my position to the 189.50 mark. However, I am going to draw some short-term support here, which is at 225. So my first confirmation heading into Monday would be the 225 mark to break. If 225 mark does break, you can have a potential short down to the 212 mark, right? Or if you want to say to yourself, this would be your first confirmation at 212, 225. Your next confirmation would be the 212. And below that, I would look for a short position down to the 200 and to the 190 target zones. Okay, to the upside, if things do get better, I am looking at potential entry at above 242 for a scalp trade to the 246, 248 mark. If you are a more conservative trader and you don't want to deal with all this, I will definitely look at the 252 mark to break. We did hold here for support back on the 15th of December, right here, back on November the 19th. So this is a level of resistance, old support, right? Which was old support, now is resistance. So above the 252 mark is a level of interest for me if you are a more conservative trader. Okay, so that is BABA on the 4-hour time frame. Okay, heading over next to names is SQ Square. Square has been pretty bullish. However, it has been pushing down recently. Square is one of those names that has been attached to Bitcoin. And as you guys know, Bitcoin is going through the roof at the moment and is above $33,000. So Square benefits from that. They did make a large investment into Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. So we did have all-time highs at the 247 mark. We pushed all the way down to the 210.50 mark, which is support. We did close Friday's session just at support, which was 217.5. Going into Monday, personally, I would be looking at that 222.50 mark. If that were to break, potential scalp to the 227.50, 230 areas for potential take profits. If you are more of a conservative trader and you do not want to deal with all this nonsense, I would look for the over 230 for an entry. We did have support here at on December the 17th, right here as well, from the 230 to the 227 mark on the 24th of December. So I am looking at entries above the 230 mark for a potential entry above and for a profit take of 237. That's if you're a more conservative trader. If you are an options trader, which is what we do, I would be looking above entries above the 220.50 mark for a potential scalp to 222.50. I would increase my position to 2 contract sizes above this for a potential take profit at the 227 and 230 area. Now, since we have been pushing lower, we definitely have to look to the downside. 214 would be my first level confirmation for a short, right? My second confirmation would be the break below 210 for a potential take profit of 206 and 204. We do have levels at 202 for support, right? And 197 as well. So I will be looking at 214 going into Monday and heading into next week. Okay, so that is SQ Square on the 4-hour time frame. Guys, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe. We release these videos every single Sunday for our members and also for the public. We also go in depth for our members and have screenshots on all these names and other watch lists. So don't forget to head over to the website if you are interested in that sort of stuff. Okay. Next name I'm going to be looking at is BA Boeing. Boeing had a rough 2020, let's just say that, along with the airline stocks. So we did close Thursday's session just below resistance, which I have set at 216. We closed at 214. Heading into Monday, I am looking for continued weakness because, as you can see here, the trend here, ever since we hit 244 off the bounce let's see. Yeah, ever since we moved up from October the 30th at the 141 level, we did push to 244. However, since then, we have been trending lower. So, you know, levels to the downside are definitely something to monitor on Boeing. So heading into Monday and next week, 210.50 is a level of interest for me. That would be my first confirmation. I wouldn't enter at 210.50 yet, right? Because we can see a bounce, which is what we saw here on the 21st of December. So 210.50 would be my first confirmation, right? My next confirmation would be the break of 206. I would then enter a short position. However, guys, Boeing does like to play a lot of games. It's one of those stocks, like I always tell my group members, it is very manipulated. As you can see here, you could have entered at 206 and you got a wick all the way back up and pushing up. You know, as a swing trader, you're not really worried too much. However, as an options trader, this could really hurt you. So definitely keep your eyes on the 206 mark to break for a potential profit, take profit area of 196.50. I also have areas of 190 and 187.50 going into next week. Now to the upside, I'm definitely looking at areas of 220 to break. If you're more of a safe conservative trader, I'm looking at the 225, 226 mark to break for a potential take profit at the 234, 237 area. Okay. However, if you are looking for a trend change, I'm definitely looking at the 238 mark to break. Above that, 242, 245 is a level of interest for me to the upside. Okay. So that is Boeing on the 4-hour time frame. Another name that's pretty popular last year that did really well in November, which is NIO, N-I-O. Keep your eyes on correlations towards Tesla. These EV names did run really hard, and NIO was one of those names, reaching an all-time high just below 60 bucks. It did push as low as $40, wicking down to the $38 mark. However, it did hold its own, and to me, that is a bullish sign. We did close last week's session just below resistance, which is the $49 mark. Looking at next week, tomorrow, I am looking at the $51 mark to break. Above that, 54 and 55 would be levels of interest for me. All-time highs is at 58.50. So an entry, a safe entry, if you're a conservative trader for a trend change and overall bullishness, I would look above 60. 65 would be my next level of resistance, and 70 would be another bullish target to the upside. Now, to the downside, I am looking at the $47 mark as support. Again, 45, 43. And if we really do push down lower, $40 level would be a level of interest for me. We did hold it over here, wicked down slowly, and did push up back on the 14th. Again here on the 7th of December, once more here on the 2nd of December, and a whole bunch of price action here back on the 16th of November and the 6th of November. So the $40 to $38 mark is very important for me. So keep your eyes out on those levels. Okay, so that is NIO on the 4-hour time frame. A few other names that I'm going to mention real quick is some of our swing trading watch lists, is our low cap names. Okay, so one of them is PENN, gaming name here. We did have all-time highs at 100. I am pretty bullish on this name right here, and it is one of my favorite plays recently, all thanks to one of our members that pointed this out to me. However, to the upside, I'm looking at above $90 mark for a potential profit take at 96 and 100, which is all-time highs. If you're a more conservative trader, I will definitely look at the $96 to $100 mark to break for entry. To the downside, if we do lose the $86 support, I am looking at 82 and 76 as potential support zones. So that is PENN on the 4-hour time frame. PENN is the ticker. Next name and the final name that I'm going to be looking at today is JMIA, JMIA, the African Amazon, it's dubbed. Very bullish name. This name took a beating during the pandemic, dropped as low as $2 and skyrocketed all the way to 50, which was all-time highs. So heading into Monday, I am definitely looking at the $37 mark to see if it holds. If that does not hold, I'm looking at a potential push all the way to the $31 mark. This is one of our swing trading names, so I am looking at higher targets. So if 37 breaks, 31 would be the next area of level of interest for me for a short position. To the upside, I am looking at the the $44 mark to break for a potential push all the way to all-time highs, which was around the $48, $50 mark. Bullish targets going into next week is 54, 60, and 65 on JMIA. JMIA is the ticker name. All right, guys, that is it for this week's stream. I'd like to, again, wish everyone a happy new year. I wish everyone lots of success going into 2021. Let's make this a great year. Give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Check us out at thewealthymentor.net. And a lot of great things are coming over to this channel. Don't forget to check us out on Instagram. We also do have a Facebook page if you're not one of those Instagram people. You know, we also are on Discord and we offer great services and very competitive towards other people in this industry. So check us out, and thanks again for watching. See you guys next week. Okay, bye.